Are all diseases curable? I sure hope they are. Here's the future of medical innovation today on emerging technology with Warren Whitlock. Hi, I'm Warren Whitlock. I'm a futurist. I look at what's coming. I've been studying what things are coming down the line and what trends are happening now for, gosh, a long time, maybe since before you were born. I'm old and I've been doing this a while. I take a different outlook to life at saying that I expect to be living in the future. The past has happened. I do live in the present as far as what I'm doing or what I'm working on. But when I'm thinking and when I'm studying, it's all about the future. I've learned a few things. I've seen some things come, I've seen some things go, and I've seen some things that don't come. And one of those that we've been promised for some time is that we're going to be able to get a cure for a disease. Fundraising, walking, running, contributing money. We're going to go find a cure for things. Has that happened? Yes, as a matter of fact, has happened. I was just reading one stat this morning that childhood cancer was killing 90 plus percent of the children that got it a few decades back. Today, it's single digit percent of those that get cancer die from it. Isn't that great? More children staying alive. That's a good thing. But can we cure all cancer? How about what I have? Can we get rid of that? And there's a new way of looking at it. And that's what I'd like to talk to you about on today's episode. The shift has happened. Medicine, as it got organized in Western medicine for the last century, has all been about how to make sure people are comfortable and happy and living with whatever symptoms come up. If you have a headache, you take a pill. If your stomach is upset, you take something. And the things prescribed, even when it's exercise, bed rest. I remember one of my all-time favorite lines was the man who said, I broke my leg in two places, and the doctor said, stay out of those two places. All of this advice is about not getting the symptoms you had. Maybe actually, that joke might be closer to what we want to do today. Today, instead of treating symptoms for all of the diseases, we often look at where is that disease called and how can we make sure you don't get it. And we can do that on a population wide basis, and we can also do it personally. There's now things that I found out about that are helping me not to have repercussions from diabetes, that my heart stays healthy, things like that. As I age, I find out, wow, this aging stuff sucks. I would rather not age. What things can I do to hang on and be healthy? And then beyond that, what would I do if I really wanted to thrive 10, 20, 30 years from now? And that's something we all should look at regardless of our age. And we've talked about a few of these technologies before, but there's more coming. Just this morning, I heard a podcast with a neuroscientist talking about how he got into what he was doing. And many of them do, they get into the field they're studying because they have a problem. People say, hey, you're a little funny. And if they go and get checked out and they find out, oh, this guy was talking about not being able to recognize faces. In fact, Dr. Oliver Sacks, famous doctor in that field, wouldn't have got into neurology if he had a problem with recognizing faces. Boy, I can see that happening whenever I go to some kind of a meeting and try to meet people. So there's a lot of technologies that we have, a lot that are being worked on. And one of the things that's happening is, to begin with, to be able to fix a disease and cure it by going into the molecular structure of your body, besides all the safety testing and time it takes, years doing tests sometimes. Some of that's speeding up, but it still takes some time. Right now we're working at curing one at a time. And the only ones we've seen come out are the ones like using CRISPR, CRISPR, is a gene editing that we've talked about on the podcast before. You can search and find that episode here. It will take apart your DNA and put in a new strand.
and it's working excellently. It's fantastic what it's doing for single cell anemia and a few other things they're using it on, where you can actually edit someone's DNA and then they start producing healthy cells. But what we're not seeing is in the labs right now, and what I got from listening to a neuroscientist talk about it, is the tools it takes to, one, go inside the brain, because a lot of what we've done before, we've tried to leave the brain alone because it's scary. And I'll tell you why. Let's go into that now. It's because of digital twins. The idea of digital twins, which we talk about often, having a complete copy of yourself, to be like the Apollo 13 mission, where in the movie they build another capsule on the ground, and they spend the time to do that, because if you cut something the wrong way when you're in space, you can't send out for a spare part. And so they tried all sorts of things to see what would work, make sure that their instructions were very detailed so that whatever they needed to fix got fixed and the astronauts returned to Earth safely. That if you have NASA working for you, that's great. What if it's just you? What can you do? Science is helping us. They've come up with some digital twins that are a lot smarter and a lot smaller and more affordable. You won't be doing the science on yourself, but they can. And one of the things that I've heard described today, and I'll do my best to give you some idea of what it is, by taking certain cells, certain tissue, and getting them to grow together, to actually get muscle cells and transmission cells and whatever other main thing you need. 3 types of cells they were working with. They put them together, and as the tissue grows, the muscles actually go looking for certain things. They're looking for the stem of the brain or your spinal cord to get the signal they need to tell them what to do. And those kind of things are just happening on a microscopic scale where we wouldn't have, boy, high school biology didn't teach me this, that every cell in your body contains all the DNA and knows all the things that your body needs to do, but can't express it unless it's told to express certain things. And now today we're doing that in the lab, and that means that they can go and try some gene editing and some chemical treatments that then change the way those cells act. And we're talking about curing the fundamental brain problems that we hear about, the physical. Why aren't we hearing a lot more about these things? Because we work on the extreme cases. Sickle cell's my favorite because only some people can get sickle cell. When they do, it's going to be a long, hard life till I don't know if it's a long life, until they mercifully die from having just too much pain and too much inconvenience of having a disease like that. And so if they're able to cure that, then they're able to make quality of life so much better for a person that was terminal. Why not move on to the other things? And that's what they're doing. So by creating a twin, and soon with your own cells, they'll be able to come up with a therapy that is made just for you, that has been tested on cells that are identical to yours, and before it ever gets injected in you, is tried out. And the time it takes to do that is just dropping significantly. What was taking them many years to do one, they're now doing multiple at the same time. It's in a much shorter time. And so that's something we can see, which brings up the idea of whether or not we want to do this. Do we want to have control to where we can say that, oh, these people with, let's say, the ones on the spectrum of AD and Asperger's, for instance, that's one end of the autism spectrum. And you can go all the way out on the other end. And there are people who have such severe autism that they just can't move, can't do anything. And so the neuroscientist that I was talking to said, or listening to, he wasn't taking my questions, but he showed, the question was asked, and he explained that we are very far away of being able to do things to try to make abnormal people normal. We're talking about diseases and curing them. To me, it doesn't seem to be much of an ethical problem. There's got to be some line at some point, but that really comes into what do you want to have allowed to be done to you. 100 years ago, if we thought somebody had a brain problem and that by drilling a hole in their head we could help, we'd drill a hole in their head and they'd lose most of their quality of life. Lobotomies, taking out part of the brain that's not functioning right. And when we start looking at, with proper security and legal framework as needed, to be able to make it so that, hey, I would like this enhancement, let me have it. And again, they went back to what the neuroscientists have said. They got into something because of that. They wouldn't want to live without it. It's what drove the disease, is what drove it to do something. So what disease can't we cure? I don't know of any. Viruses, the joke is that viruses had us invent cars and airplanes so they could get spread a lot faster. And no, the viruses didn't have a plan. Viruses took advantage of what we did. And so we have to look at what's going to protect us, what's going to keep us from having a pandemic because something went wrong on a simple procedure. Certainly, all that makes perfect sense. But do we stop? I don't know that we can. I think we've reached a point where the ethical thing to do is to treat people we're able to treat. And so every disease becomes something. Will we reach a point that you get a nasal spray that doesn't just prevent flu or colds for the year, but it actually makes your body into a germ-killing machine of a certain type? I don't know, but I think we would like it. Boy, we live with a whole lot less disease than we did before, and I think we're going to live with less disease in the future. And new things will come about, but we now know the science well enough to treat them. We really now can go into somebody's DNA and restructure it. We can find cells that are not responding to traditional chemical treatments, and we move ahead. I read a book 50 years ago that said in 50 to 100 years in the future, so we're at the start of that now, that we would be able to look at surgery and pharmaceuticals as barbaric. The idea of cutting open a person when you're completely able to cure them by giving them maybe a different kind of lettuce, maybe treat it, maybe not, and just not get a disease. Boy, if I knew about that's revealing about me. I eat salad on a regular basis. I'm a person who said I would never eat salad again. I now eat it on a regular basis. It's like getting medicine. And if I get spinach, definitely take a handful of spinach, stuff it down my throat, be done with it. Maybe not clear down the throat, chew it a bit. And it turns out after a while I like that. I'm healthier because of it. I was taking pills to replace that. I moved back to getting it from the source, and I feel better for it. Took me 65 years to learn that. So hopefully you'll get that a little bit fast. So there are some very complex disorders that we haven't even looked at yet, but things like Alzheimer's, diabetes, cancer are all going to be cured in a very short period of time. It changes the world quite a bit. We're not immortal. We're not going to live forever, or at least what we know of right now. There's some things you just can't come back from. But having a chronic disease that is going to make your body deteriorate and to a final horror of time in pain waiting to die is something that can be avoided, and we are going to do it. One thing that it says to me is, I got to take care of myself. So I'm starting a little late, but if you're listening to this, take care of yourself. Stay healthy. Any minor problem you have can be taken care of. Let's not get into the crazy stuff like, do you want to completely remake your face? Do you want to have more hair or no hair? Whatever. Those things are possible. Today, we've been talking about the diseases, the things that really shorten your life or make you miserable. Be great to be able to get rid of a lot of those things, or to be able to deal with them in a way that some people, healthy, younger, good nutrition, catch COVID, and it's just a cold, a flu, whatever. And they would warn people like me, hey, stay away from this stuff. It could kill you. Actually, COVID came through my house. I was okay. I have a healthy immune system for that sort of thing. Do I want to risk it by going out where I could get more disease? No, but but I think there are differences. And the big thing is the differences I'm seeing now with being able to have a complete twin of you, so that the genetics we're working on are not for people like you. It's for you personally. That's coming. And so hang on, stay healthy, and you'll see it pretty soon. This has been Emerging Technologies with Warren. I'm Warren Whitlock. You can find us on YouTube and all your normal podcast channels. Wherever you're listening to this, please leave a comment, say hello, ask a question, tell me where I'm wrong, because I am not a doctor. I am not an investment advisor. So don't take anything I say as treatment advice. But this is the direction we see things going. And I've learned that following trends will get you a lot farther than trying to predict any little bit of future. And so I hope you'll stick with me, share the knowledge, help other people, give us a like and subscribe, and I'll see you next time on Emerging Technologies.